Hello there. I'm just driving home from dropping off my friend at the airport. So I'm just going to talk to you while I'm driving. Just thought I'd talk to you about some of the money mistakes that I've made. I've been thinking about this for a bit. Um, I have been talking about money quite a bit, and I just wanted to tell you about some of the mistakes that I've made over my lifetime. A lot of these are going to sound familiar because a lot of these are mistakes that most people make when they're young. And then I'm going to tell you a couple of stories about some personal money mistakes that I've made. So stick around. I'm going to put those towards the end. So first, credit cards right out of college. I think a lot of people fall into this trap. As soon as you graduate from college, you start getting credit card offers in the mail and you start feeling like a grown-up, right? So I did that. I graduated from high school actually, and it was a long time ago, 1987, and started getting credit card offers. I went off to college, but I didn't stay long. I got married, and I used credit cards to fund a lot of things for my household and used it for fun money. And, like most people do, I used it to buy things and pay for things that I didn't really have the money to pay for, so things that I couldn't afford. So very early on, I got into credit card debt. And then when my marriage ended, and I was only maybe 22, I had credit card debt that I had to pay off. So a lot of people do that before they learn their lesson in their early 20s, mid 20s. At some point in their life, a lot of people get into credit card debt, and then they learn that's not it's one of the most stressful situations you can be in financially is to have a lot of debt and nothing to show for it. Credit cards have their place, and they can be used as a tool to build credit. They can be used as a tool for other things, but they are not, they're very dangerous, so stay away from them. Next mistake. Early on in my career, I did not take advantage of my 401k. Nobody in my family ever invested. I don't remember hearing anybody talk about a 401k. I didn't even know what it was. And honestly, this was before the internet, if you can believe that, Gen X. I started my adult life without the internet. And I didn't, so it was harder to learn about things like that back then. So early in my career, I did not take advantage of my 401k match from my company. I did not contribute. I listened to some person that said, oh, it's just playing the stock market and it's risky. And if you put it in 401k, then you don't have any control over what happens to it. I listened to that crap and I did not contribute. Also, I started around the time I was 30, I started looking into real estate investing. And I thought, I want to keep control of my own money so that I can invest it in real estate. And I would rather do that than invest in the stock market. So I did not invest in my 401k, and I did not get serious about my 401k until 10 years ago when I came to this current company that I just retired from. That's when I really started contributing to it, and I'm way behind. I could have had $1 million by now, but I don't. So number two, if you're young, if you have a 401k at your job, take advantage of it, because if your company has a match, that's free money and you're just leaving it on the table if you don't contribute. Money mistake number three, and I've done this a couple of times. Even when I knew it was a bad financial move, I did it anyway. Buying a new car, that's a mistake. It's a mistake for pretty much anybody, unless you just have a lot of money to burn and you're just looking at it as a luxury item and you don't mind throwing the money away. So that's pretty much what it is. Most people need a car unless you live in a city with good public transportation, but everybody does not need a new car. And I see a lot of people that buy cars that cost a whole year's salary, and that is not smart. So I've bought 2 or 3 new cars in my life, and of course, as you know, you hear it all the time, as soon as you drive it off the lot, it depreciates and you're upside down if you financed it. So it's just a bad investment. If you ever pay off a car, I'm driving a 2008 Honda Odyssey right now. It's got 198,258 miles on it. It runs like a top. It's great. Of course, it's been paid off for a very long time. I paid cash for it, honestly. And I will not buy another. I don't plan to ever finance a car again, honestly. I plan on buying good used cars forever and ever more. So buying a new car is a big mistake. And sometimes buying a newer used car with financing is a mistake as well, unless you can get a really good interest rate and a deal. All right, now we're going to start getting a little personal. Money mistake number 4, marrying someone with bad credit and no financial literacy. I did that knowingly on my 3rd marriage, even though I knew better by then. I did it anyway because I thought I could teach him and change him. Bad. Bad idea. And if you have financial goals and you're a practical person like I am, you really need to be talking about that stuff up front and discussing it. And if you have completely different views on money than the person you're about to marry, at some point you're going to fight about it, and or your plans are going to be derailed because of their actions and their decisions. And that's what happened with me. So marrying somebody with the completely different financial mindset for me was a mistake. That leads me to mistake number 5. I made a bad business investment. It was during that marriage. I invested in a coffee shop. I bought a coffee shop. It was local. It was going out of business. It was for sale. And I thought it would be fun. Who doesn't? Anybody, especially who loves coffee, who doesn't dream of owning a coffee shop? Well, let me tell you, the dream and the reality are 2 different things. And I was working 2 nursing jobs to try to just keep the bills paid while we were attempting to break even with the coffee shop. And then this person that I married with bad financial literacy was running that business, and that was a big mistake. I actually financed that by taking equity out of a good real estate investment I had made, and I put it into the coffee shop, and I lost it. I lost the business. I lost the real estate investment house, and ultimately the marriage went kaput. If you're wanting to start a business, make a business plan and really take a look at it. Don't get too caught up in the fairy tale of it, especially if it's something that's a brick and mortar with a lot of overhead. A lot of people dream about coffee shops, restaurants, food trucks even, or boutique retail stores, that kind of thing. And anything that is going to depend on street traffic, it's going to depend on people walking in off the street, is going to be hard to make a good living on, especially if you live in a small-ish town. Next money mistake that I made was waiting too long to invest in real estate. I did a lot of studying on it and analyzing deals, and I did it for years and years because I was terrified to make that first step, and I was terrified to make a mistake. So I was stuck in analysis paralysis for years. I was a single mom, and I was really risk averse. I was afraid of losing money, making a mistake, and I was afraid of looking like a fool, and I was afraid people would think that I didn't know what I was doing, or that somehow I also had that imposter syndrome, and I didn't think I was the kind of person that should be investing in real estate because I didn't grow up in a family with money, blah, 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 blah. And I waited way too long. And real estate investing is the only reason that I have the things I have now, because I took my W-2 income, and instead of blowing it on shopping, which I don't really like anyway, I saved and invested in real estate. And that's why I'm able to take this year away from a full-time job to figure out what to do next. This is also kind of personal, but I'm going to say it anyway. And if my children are listening, we've had this conversation, and I know you know I love you, but I have, as a single mom, I have wanted to give my children everything that I never had. I never wanted them to struggle. I never wanted them to just feel like they were doing without anything. So I have done way too much for my adult children, and I think it hasn't benefited them or me. That is a mistake. I think I needed to I went too far with it. I went too far with trying to protect them from the feeling of doing without. I went too far with trying to make them comfortable and make them their life easy. And I have, so it's made things hard on them as they're getting their life started, and it's made things a little harder on me because I'm a little behind with, my own retirement savings and that kind of thing. So that's all I'm really going to say about it, as I did a little bit too much as they got older, and it was a mistake. The last thing that I'm going to tell you about is I made a mistake in assuming that I was going to be okay with working until I was 65 or 70, because clearly I was not. I'm now 55, and I have walked away from my corporate job and my 9-to-5 full-time career. And as I said before, I didn't plan well enough to really retire at 55, so I'm having to kind of figure out. I'm starting my real estate business, and I'm working a part-time job, and I'm doing some side hustles, and I'm still having to figure out a way to drum up enough income to be comfortable, but in ways that I can be happy with. I always thought that I had plenty of time to save for retirement, and I really didn't. Time ran out quicker than I thought it would, because at 55, I suddenly hit a wall and decided I didn't want to be in that rat race anymore. So most people assume they're going to have to work until they're 65 or 70, but I can tell you that most people that I've talked to, by the time they're in their mid-50s, they are counting the months and weeks and years because they're so over it. So don't assume that you have to work until you're 65. If you start early enough, you can prepare and you can retire early. Look into the FIRE movement, the Financial Independence Retire Early movement. A lot of people are doing it now. It's kind of a thing. There's tons of stuff on YouTube about it. So I assumed I would be okay with working my whole life, and I really wasn't. Now I want to enjoy my life while I'm still healthy. Assuming I'd have to work until I was old enough for Social Security was a mistake, because that's not true. I wish YouTube was around 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I've learned so much on YouTube, on this platform, on the internet in general. I mean, I got the internet in my house in 1996, and I think the internet is the most wonderful thing. We all have all the world's information at our fingertips, and young people now have the opportunity to learn about these things, even if they didn't grow up in households with financial literacy. Anybody can learn, and it's right there. All you have to do is go look for it. I did learn a lot of valuable lessons with all the mistakes that I've made, and I am still young enough to kind of turn it around before I run out of time. So I'm grateful for that. If you've made some mistakes of your own, don't beat yourself up. Just start doing better now that you know better. I hope this has been helpful or insightful for you. And as always, I appreciate you watching my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.